Time now for the Wiltfong Whiparound with our Director of Recruiting, Steve Wiltfong. Steve, let's start with a huge win for Billy Napier down in the Swamp, an upset of then number 11 Tennessee. A bunch of targets in attendance to watch it happen, but one of the biggest was the number 8 defensive lineman in the class, LJ McCray. What did he say about his visit?
Well, LJ McCray, he loved his visit. You know, he said the performance from the Tennessee game definitely shows the direction the program is heading. They came out on top amongst all the doubt. Look, if you're a finalist for LJ McCray, you want to get him to your game because Florida State got him there against LSU. They played great. They beat LSU. Miami got him there for the Texas A&M game. They played fantastic. They beat the Aggies. Florida gets them there for the Tennessee game. They play awesome. They get a huge win over the Vols. And this decision just keeps getting harder and harder for LJ McCray. Andrew Ivan spoke with him on Friday night, has a nice story about him potentially being a 5-star. He told Andrew Ivins he don't have a bad decision, a bad option. And he took his decision into the fall, Emily, so he could watch these teams play to get a feel for where their programs were at. And watching them play, I think is just making his decision harder and harder. I expect him to get back to Georgia for the Kentucky game. He wants to get back to Auburn and watch them play one more time. He has an upcoming official visit to Florida State in October. He wants to decide sometime in October. But if these teams keep playing well, he's going to have a hard time, Emily. And I talked to some staffers, some people that were in Gainesville inside the Swamp on Saturday, and they said the crowd helped win that game. And a win like that certainly validates what Florida's been selling on the trail. But anytime you have an environment like that, you win a game of that magnitude, it helps. Recruiting's a game of inches. I think the Gators got some inches in LJ McCray's recruitment. They've always been one of his favorites. I've always had them at or near the top alongside Georgia, and they couldn't have had a better performance against one of their top remaining targets on campus in LJ McCray.
It was a big night inside the Swamp for the class of 2025 as well, Steve. Antwann Hill and Ryan Montgomery were two big-time quarterbacks in attendance. 4-star safety DJ Pickett was also inside the stadium. What did these three top 24/7 talents think of when they took everything in inside the Swamp?
Well, let's start with the quarterbacks. You obviously love that Florida has their franchise guy potentially in DJ Lagway in 2024. And now there's a standard in that room that they want to recruit that position at. And Antwann Hill and Ryan Montgomery, two top 247 signal callers, have emerged as their favorite guys at the position in this cycle. And with Ryan Montgomery, I think it's them in South Carolina in the best position for the Findlay, Ohio native. He was at South Carolina's opener against North Carolina. He's going to be back in Columbia to watch the Gators and Gamecocks play against each other. But he said the atmosphere was amazing inside the Swamp. There's truly a different feel down in SEC country and in the Swamp. Talked about it being a huge win. Talked about the way the offense played. He loved how in control and confident Graham Mertz was. Said Graham Mertz is one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the country, and said that Florida's only going up from here. And then A.J. Hill, Antwann Jr., he talked about how hard Florida fought to get the win. And he talked about the electric atmosphere there as well, said Florida's in the right direction. They executed their game plan. Now, he's got some upcoming visits. He's going to be at Auburn for the Georgia game. Colorado recently offered he's going to be out there for the USC game. He's going to go, he's going to go see them play against Stanford in October. And then Florida State, he's going to see them play or host Duke in October. And he wants to also get to South Carolina, that's Ryan Montgomery. My notes are running together here on both of these young men. But Florida made a great pitch with both these young men, got a big win. Graham Mertz looked good, and these guys are high on Florida moving forward with their process.
Certainly a huge weekend for Florida, a signature win for Billy Napier. Sounds like some more wins potentially could be coming on the recruiting trail. We have more programs to talk about, not just the Gators today, but before we get there, I got to ask for likes. So Steve, throw up the thumbs up. Go ahead, hit that like button. Steve, there we go. Okay. I was like, don't leave me hanging here. We got to ask for those likes. It is customary in this segment. Let's stick in the SEC East, though. Georgia had a few visitors this weekend for their game against South Carolina. The headliners in attendance were a couple 5-stars. Florida State safety commit KJ Bolden and another 5-star and defensive lineman Aydin Breland. What'd you hear from those two 5-stars?
Well, talking to people that spent time with Aydin Breland, they said he was all smiles. He's been to Georgia numerous times, and he's down to 3. Got Georgia, Miami, and Oregon in contention for the 5-star from Mater Dei, who chose to spend his bye week in Athens. And, he loves the consistent production and development of defensive line. And when you talk to some people that spent time with him, they think he could ultimately end up at Georgia. Now, Miami and Oregon certainly going to get their say to try and say otherwise. And there's been a lot of talk about Oregon with Aydin Breland. But Georgia, there's some people that think they can ultimately win out. In Miami, we've seen them pull off some massive recruiting wins under Mario Cristobal and company, so you never discount them. And they've had Breland the campus a couple times. And there's been scenarios where I thought maybe they've led at times too. So that's one of the exciting ones to follow. And then KJ Bolden visited, got a chance to spend time with Kirby Smart, Will Muschamp, Fran Brown. I talked to his dad. They had a good time on campus, getting around the staff again. Talked about it being a great atmosphere as usual. Now I still think it's an uphill climb to flip him from Florida State. He's looking to get back to campus for the Virginia Tech game. Looking to get back there for the Miami game. That's going to be his official visit. And so Florida State, I'm not predicting a flip there, but Georgia's going to keep hanging in there. And anytime you can get KJ Bolden to campus, that's massive.
An incredible recruitment I think we're going to be monitoring here for the next couple of months heading into the early signing period. Steve, you mentioned with Florida setting a standard at the quarterback position. Georgia has already set that standard. Jared Curtis was there as well. He's the number 2 overall prospect in the 2026 class. The Nashville native still has a long way to go until the pen meets paper. But after the visit, where does Georgia sit in his recruitment?
Yeah, even though it's his recruiting process is still getting off the ground, he recently put out a top 10, and I think Georgia's at or near the top there. He told me it's awesome in Athens. The fans live for it. Shows how much the program is loved. They recruit the best of the best. He wants to play with some of the best players in the country, and then he just feels the love when he gets around that coaching staff. I think you got Georgia. You got Alabama in a good spot, Florida State, certainly South Carolina, but Georgia getting a big win in front of Jared Curtis, who's been to campus a ton, really likes Coach Bobo and Coach Van Gorder. I think Georgia's in a great spot for Jared Curtis.
All right, speaking of quarterbacks, it's time now for our daily dose of Dion. The Buffs are 3-0 after an overtime win over Colorado State, and the number 1 QB in the 2025 class was there to take it all in. Bryce Underwood actually moved up his visit to take in this rivalry game, so what did he tell you about his experience in Boulder?
Well, I talked to his dad a little bit. It was real late. It was about 3:30 in the morning Eastern time when I heard from his dad via text message, and they loved the atmosphere. They thought it was electric. They loved the environment, and they got a chance to spend time with Coach Sanders and his staff. They saw Shadur Sanders throw for 348 yards and 4 touchdowns, including that 98-yard game-tying drive. So the offense checked. They're building relationships with the coaching staff. The fan support, the We Want Bryce Underwood sign out there caught Bryce's attention. Colorado, they're in the middle of this one. They're battling LSU. They're battling Michigan. Penn State's trying to hang around in there. You got Alabama, Oregon, but Colorado certainly had him out there for a good weekend where he saw great offense and got a chance to get to know Coach Sanders and the staff better.
Colorado is battling. They're in the picture for a lot of players, including Alabama commit Jeremiah Beaman and 4-star offensive lineman Jordan Seaton. They also made it out to Boulder to take in the atmosphere. They're 2 big targets for Coach Prime. So where do things stand with them after this trip?
Well, Jordan Seaton had a great visit. He wants to get back for an official. This was an unofficial. He's got future trips coming up to Oklahoma, Florida, and Ohio State, with Oregon trying to battle in there. Alabama is the school he named as his favorite in the summer and then doubled down on that early this fall. But he loved the culture at Colorado. He started to connect with Danny O'Neil and some of those commits there, and he thinks this is a program that is going to contend for the college football playoffs sooner rather than later, and he thinks he can help maintain that at Colorado. So we'll see if he gets back out there for an official visit, but he loved his time in Boulder. And then Jeremiah Beaman out of Birmingham Parker, longtime Alabama commit. He was out there with this trainer, Leonard Stevens. They enjoyed the ball game. They certainly enjoyed their time with Deion Sanders, and the energy and the message seemed to resonate. And it looks like Colorado's going to get him back to campus as well. And one thing that really stood out to me, one of the recruits on campus said that whether you were a 5-star, a 4-star, or a no-star, Deion Sanders and his staff treated you the same. And so I just think they've created an environment out there that recruits love to be in, and it resonated with guys like Jordan Seaton, Jeremiah Beaman, and Bryce Underwood.
All right, we mentioned earlier just how exciting the recruitment of KJ Bolden is going to be, to see how it plans out. I want to know about this one. 5-star wide receiver Ryan Wingo. He was back at Texas this weekend, and it kind of seems like the Longhorns are maybe gaining some momentum here. Steve, how did he enjoy his latest visit?
Well, his dad told me it was state-of-the-art, first class. Ryan Wingo spoke with Horns 247's Hank South about the visit, raved about it. But just talking to the Wingo camp, I still think that Texas is the one to beat in this recruitment, from time spent with Coach Sarkisian to the offense to the way that the playmakers are schemed into big plays. There's a lot that Texas has going for them in this recruitment. Now, there was a chance that maybe he was going to commit during his visit. He's going to be at the Mizzou game this weekend. It's in St. Louis, 5 minutes down the road. They host Memphis in the Dome there. I expect him to get back to Mizzou one more time before announcing any kind of college decision as well. So while Texas is the leader in the clubhouse for Ryan Wingo, the tournament is not over. In Missouri, they are undefeated. They just got a big win. He's going to get a chance to watch Missouri play. Coach Peeler has that track record of developing receivers there. Going to get back for a visit. Coach Drinkwitz continues to be in major touch. And so while a lot of the momentum was really picking up for Texas going into this visit, since he's come out uncommitted, I think that you still can't sleep on Missouri here, and we'll see what the Tigers can do in front of Ryan Wingo and his family on Saturday.